to review some of the videos? Not yet? Okay. Good. Good, Michael. All right, good. All right, so there's a series of videos that you can watch. Tonight I really just want to get you started. Make sure that you have the cash flow sheet. Make sure you have the tasks for the week. And also, we're going to be doing our normal call at 9:30. You're, of course, welcome to stay. You're part of this group now, and moving forward, it'll always start at 9:30, okay? Yeah, sure, no worries. Okay, all right, so let's start with making sure that everyone has a copy of the cash flow sheet. And if you haven't downloaded the tasks of the week, you can see that I put that in the top left corner. And you download that, you just click on that and it downloads. So just hit tasks of the week and you can download that. Okay, and as you do that, I'm going to go through the tasks of the week and then we'll go through the sheet. Okay, so tasks for the week, number 1, create and separate emails for real estate. So you're going to create an email. It can be set up via Gmail for organization and separation from general email to allow for immediate response to timed emails. Can be business name or personal name, preferred for relationship building. Okay, so we covered these things on Sunday evening. I just want to make sure that does everybody have any questions about this particular task? It's just creating a separate email. It doesn't have to be your business. Just want to separate your emails and make sure that you're responding to them in an appropriate time. Okay, let's go to 2. So create a separate telephone number. It can be set via Skype. There's a free line. There's just a link that you can use. It's up to you. Freephonline.ca organizes separation from general calls to allow for immediate response time to call. Okay, so we're just trying to start to separate our personal life from our business life. Okay, is everyone okay with that one? Task 2. Any questions? I see people typing, but nothing's coming up. So we're good? We're all good? Okay. We're going to continue. Just type in your question as you get it. Create a business card can be set up as via Vistaprint. General business cards will be set up with an email and full name only. Keep it simple. This will allow you to write on the card depending on the contact person, investor, buyer, seller. So you're just creating business cards. I talked a little bit about this. Keeping it simple, I think, is the way to go. Of course, you can create the card any way you like, but I think your full name and email address is sufficient, the new email address that you've created. Okay? Now, these are tasks for the week, so you got all week to do this, and if you feel like you need a little more time, that's fine, but these are some things that we can do immediately to help start build our business. Okay? Create business space in home. It'll be important to create an environment where you can only use it for business. This will also create a legitimate space to write off expenses for taxes, stock with standard office supplies, keep all receipts. Okay? Okay, Lazar, what's that? You said it's called Burner? Okay, you can throw up that link. That's okay. Just wanted to check. It's an app. Is that a... All right, John. Good. Okay. So, Lazar, did you have a link or is that an app? That's an app. You just... is it available on Android and... well, you got... Folks, you can check Android and application on Apple. Not sure for Android. No worries. Okay. That's another one to check. That's good. Thank you. All right. Okay, so we've created a business space in our home. Want to make sure that we keep that separate from the rest of the group. Okay, those are the tasks. Those are the tasks that we have. And, you know, if you can get them done by the week, that's great. Like I said, if you need more time, that's fine. Does anybody have any questions about the tasks? Okay, if everybody's good, type in yes or Y. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, let's review the sheet then. Okay, so let's hide that, and I'm going to do a share when I'm sharing my desktop. So give me 1 second. All right, let's use that. Okay. All right. Okay, can everybody see that okay? Just going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, so this is a cash flow sheet. All right, this is showing how we calculate, and one of the tools we use to calculate a property and its viability as an investment. We're going to go through it one by one. I just want to double check. Can everyone say yes? They have it. They have the sheet. Just a quick yes. If anybody doesn't, please say no. I just want to make sure everybody has it. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so you see there's no name. You can put the name of the property. Okay. We also have the value. We can put any value in there. Okay, so anything in yellow you can write in. So if we look here and we say that the value of the property is $500,000, that's not going to work. It's not a $500 property. It's $500,000. Okay, and we say units. Let's say that we said it was a 4-unit. Let's say that the gross rents were, let's see, let's go 1,040 or 44,000. Okay, now we see here when I put in 44,000 in the gross rent, I'll see that I am able to see what the monthly average is right there, which is 919. This over here will give you an idea of retail. I don't want you to worry about it right now. We'll come back to that, okay? And standard cap rate is something you're going to learn over the series of videos and being on the call. The box at the top right, new. It's new. Yeah, not on my version. Yeah, so Lazar, I'll let you download that, okay? I added this. I've updated it. Okay? All right. So, no worries. So, standard cap rate, and I got to just see if I can move. Put it over here. So, standard cap rate is something that, a lot of areas, based on the purchase price of properties, sale and purchase price of properties, there becomes an area cap rate, standard cap rate that kind of works within properties. Let me give you an example. Most cap rates are about 3 is the standard cap rate. Most places in Canada. Some places have a little bit higher, some a little bit lower, but 3 to 4, maybe 5 if it's 5 and 6. If it's Eastern, you might see higher, but that's because of some of the challenges they have with vacancy and other concerns with employment. Okay, but 3 to 4 is pretty standard across Canada. The way you figure that out, I'll explain cap rate, and it's good to have that number. It helps you better understand, what you're doing in the sense of retail versus the property. Give me 1 second. Just got a text from my. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I just got to pass on a text to my lawyer. Okay, 1 second. Apologies. I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to get my Laura on. So give me one moment. I just gotta get him some technical support. He's at home and doing this from home. All right. If you have any questions, please type them in. And make sure that we answer them. Give me 1 second. I'm really sorry about this. I just need to assist with Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. So look some emails. Okay. This is just a statement. Depending on the courses that you take, you may receive different spreadsheets you can use. For example, when you do momentum, this will give you one which you could use, but in the end of your preferred what you want to work with, this is just so you can start looking at the properties out of the market and analyze them. Thanks, Azar. I appreciate that. You will get different Excel sheets and different calculation sheets from different trainers. This is the one I like to use. Please, obviously, you utilize the one that's appropriate for what you're doing, and what best suits the deal that you're working on. So this is more of an income statement type file that we're looking at, but it can give you a quick idea of you know what a property can produce in the way of cash flow. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's any more questions. Okay. Okay. So let's come back to here. Okay. So 4 properties, 44, and we can actually type in here a laundry. That was what was there. If you don't see laundry there, these are just different types of income. We might make you know, $500 or $1,000 a year on laundry. That's just a way for us to excuse me, assess gross income. Okay, so this right here, what you see down here is a gross income amount. So we haven't taken any expenses off, just gross income. And then we go to taxes. So taxes, we didn't put the information. Let's say that's $5,000 a year. Let's say the insurance is $1,500 a year. Let's say water and sewage. Let's say our tenants pay that. Our tenants pay that. Okay. So then we have water heater. Let's say it's a rental and it's $500 a year. Other expenses, we're going to put nothing there for now, but if there's additional expenses that are not covered in there, just drop that in there. Okay, 1 second. Okay, and what we're trying to do is make sure that we cover all expenses. I'm still here, folks. I'm just working on some technical difficulties, trying to get somebody on. Sorry, folks. My apologies. We're having some technical difficulties getting my my lawyer on the call from his location. So I'll try to avoid that again. He's working on it. I might have to jump off again. If I do, we'll just pick up where we left off. Okay. So other costs, we're going to put that at 0. Other costs, let's just put 0. That could be something that's not listed on the sheet itself, but you can put that amount there. Now, maintenance and management, you can see vacancies automatically a 5. This could be a 6. It's up to us, but 5 would be the standard I want to see you work with. If you put maintenance at 5 and the management at 10. So if I go maintenance here, I could put an amount here to save 1,000. And what you'll see is that the 1,000 that's here, the $83 is taken off this amount over here. If I put that back to 0, that's just making sure that I do the 5%. Okay? Everybody understand that? So I'll adjust it for you. Okay, management, same concept. We want to see a 10% management on a property. We don't want to manage our own property, so that's just going to be a standard 10%, okay? Now, let's go to net operating expense and net operating income. We see the net operating expense is 35%. Net operating income is 64.4%. That amount is great. We'd like to see that net operating income higher than the net total expense. Typically, you're going to see that split a little bit more even this way, maybe a 40 or 45. It depends on the property, but we'll stay with this for now. Okay. Now, first mortgage. Now, the reason that this is red is because this is a residential property. 4 units or less are considered residential. 5 or more are considered commercial. So because it's a residential property, if I turn this to a 5, it's going to read it as a commercial property. Typically, that's a 65-35 split for mortgages. So we'll go back to 4 units, and this will want me to put 80% because we can get 80% on a residential mortgage. Okay, so let's change this. The reason it's red is because it's not computing, because there's obviously it's more than 100%. We're going to change that to 20, and that would leave a 0 down payment. Okay, so let's go first mortgage. Let's say it's 4%, and second mortgage, say 7%, because we borrowed the money. Okay, so we see that the mortgage, first mortgage is 400, second mortgage is 100. 30-year, we can go 25 there. That's fine. It'll adjust for you. What we're trying to do is figure out the cost of what that mortgage is going to cost us. Okay, so the total amount is listed of what we're going to pay per month. And what this does for us is it gives us a better understanding of what it's going to cost to carry the property. This really affects the net operating income versus the debt service, which is coverage ratio. Now, coverage ratio is what institutions look at, banks look at. Okay, so let me give you an example. A bank would like to see a 1.2 coverage ratio. So let's change this to 3.5. That's what they'd like to see, 1.2. What does that mean? It means that you have enough income to cover the expense of the property. You have enough income to cover the expense plus some. In this case, we have over 100% coverage. So 1.2 would be 120% of our income. The debt service is there to cover the 23,000. We have 29. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? You still with me? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So if any of this is confusing or a problem, you're looking at it, it's kind of overwhelming. Don't worry. Through practice, it'll make more sense. Okay. I don't want you to worry about it. Okay. I'm just going to run through this once, answer some of your questions, and then I want you to run a few properties through it, and you'll become more familiar with it. We're going to go over it several times. Okay. When we look at properties, we go over it. It'll be something that's second nature to you as we go through it, okay? All right, so we look at the key indicators, and the key indicators, cash on cash return, which means based on the cash that I'm putting in the property, what's my return? So I'm putting in $20,000 in this property. It's telling me a 5%, not good. We like to see 30% or more. We look at average profit per unit, $104,000. That's okay, as long as 75 or above is where we want to be. Now, 75 doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot considering that the property is paying all its bills, all its expenses. Okay, GRM is 11.11. We like to see a 6. That's a general calculation that we can look at another time. I'll explain that to you and let you know what that means. But GRM is a quick way for us to calculate it for property profits based on its actual gross numbers, the gross income versus the gross rents. Current cap rate's 5.8. We like to see a 10. It's at 5.8. That's what it is. We can't change those numbers. but it start to give us an indication of the opportunity that we're sitting on and what we need to make it workable for us. Cost per unit, I don't want you to worry about. It's for really multiple units at the same time. Nothing to worry about there. I don't want you to really look at that unless we're looking at tons of units. So we're not going to worry about that at this point. That coverage ratio is 1.2 as we saw over here. This is good. We'd like to see a 1.2. Now here's where it gets interesting, okay? This property, estimated property value is 290. This is telling us the maximum offer price. Now you look, this property's at 500,000. Is this a good property for us? Tell me if this is a good property for us. Yeah, the down payment's 20%. Okay, so financing, we've pretty much done the best we can do with financing in the way of cost of carrying, okay? So here, the cost of carrying, we put first mortgage 25 years 3.5, second mortgage 0. The down payment's at 20%. So we've really done the most we can do in the way of a mortgage. The mortgage is going to cost us about $2,000 a month. Based at that rate, that's really going to be a problem for us, right? And one of the big reasons is the income. The income, you know, we'd like to see that income, you know, per month. We'd like to see 1% of the value of the property to make it start to really look appealing to us. So I'll give you an example. If I change this to 60,000. Okay, so now 60,000, I'm getting $12.50 a unit. What this can do for us is allow us to and that's a quick calculation. It doesn't always work, but 1% is a good indicator. Based on those expenses, we come down here with the expenses, and we see that the indicator, now we're making 375. Our coverage ratio is huge at 174. The property's at 500, and the estimated value is 418, so it's much closer because of the 1%. Now in a retail environment, saying it's worth 1.4 million. The reason it's 1.4 million is because if the cap rate's at 3, it's going to be a situation where, and this is exactly what this is doing. The cap rate's at 3. It's going to really inflate the value of the property based on its income number, right? And the net operating income over here, which is 41,000. That's why it's coming up with that huge number. Now, if the cap rate in this area is more like 6, you see the price drop considerably. We can see that this cap rate is sitting around an 8, right? It's a little bit less than that, but 8. So we see that in this case, if it was an 8 cap rate in the area, the property would be discounted $22,500 off its retail value. Again, something you get a better understanding as you run through these sequences and properties. I don't want you to worry about it right now. I just really want you to run, 5 properties this week would be awesome. That would really allow us to better understand what we can do. Okay, 1 second here. Now we were here. It's telling us that the property is worth $418,000, which is not a huge dip, but still a dip. And what we can do here is now look at putting the 80, what we had there, in 20 to give us the numbers. And we see the cash on cash return is 24%. This is bad. We'd like to see 30, but that's not terrible. The average profit per unit is excellent at 429. GRM is 6.85. We'd like to see 6, but that's okay. Cap rate now is at 10, so it's green. We're happy. That'd be a 10 cap rate at 418. And the coverage ratio is outstanding. It's way above 1.2. That's important for institutions and banks to look at, okay? Don't worry about all this stuff. This is just grabbing the information from up here. The big thing I want you to look at is here. First offer, and then we have with VTB. So it's telling us the first offer we should make on this property is $355, and the offer with VTB is $349 as a first offer. Now, you remember us talking about saying no to the offer first, and that's okay. We're okay with hearing that small no. And what we come down to is here is that we see that the property is going to give us this is for a second mortgage. So I'll give you an example. If I put 20 here, that's the amount that I want the the seller to pay in the VTB, okay? So in this case, what I would do is I'd offer VTB, okay, down here, a VTB First offer 355 with VTB 397, and then what it does is it takes that 83.6, which we got from here. That second mortgage is 83.6. 83.6. What we do is we calculate. So VTB with interest and principal. Okay, interest and principal. And we got VTB interest only. These are the two options. So interest and principal, it's a 5-year term. Okay, we can change that to 30 years. We put anything we want, but 30 years. Interest rate is 4%. And it's $497 a month. And I'm just going to move this up here. If you're wondering what the black box is, that's so I can see you in your conversation and your questions. Okay, so monthly expense $397, yearly is $4,770, and then we have the balloon payment. The balloon payment of $75,574.09. That's what's left over after we paid the mortgage for the 5 years. Now look at interest only. Now, interest only, same amount, 5 years. Now, amortization doesn't matter about that because we're only paying interest, right? So it doesn't really matter how many years we amortize the property over, okay? So in this case, what we do is we look at a VTB where we're giving actual an incentive for him to give us the interest only because we're doing it at 5% instead of the 4. Originally 4 you see up here, the 4. Now we're doing 5, okay? So the reason is, can anybody tell me why we like the 4 to give the interest only? Why are we giving that offer and paying a little bit more? Yeah, it really comes down to the monthly payment. You can see that the monthly payment is lower. Interest only, it's $348. If it's a lower interest rate, then it's better for us in the way of the ability to, increase our cash flow. $41.80 a year, obviously it's going to be less because it's interest only. But this is the thing we got to keep in mind is obviously when we're interest only, remember we started with $83,600 in an interest only scenario. In 5 years, we'd pay $83,000, the same amount, $83,600. The amount that we borrow, okay, but still we prefer that because the interest is interest only is allowing us a better cash flow position on the property, and we invest long term for cash flow. Then we look over here, total wealth accumulation, and the reason we do this is to give them an idea of what we would be paying with interest and principal combined. If we look at interest and principal, we look at $412,000, and interest only it'd be $418,000 over that 5-year period. Okay, so this is $83,000 less than the list price. This one's $82,000 less than the list price, and this is what we're asking in the way of a discount over that list price. So 17.4 and 16.4. All of this is being calculated based on, the amount we're saying we want the VTB for, right? This amount right here, this area here, the VTB for it. So if we do this, we're basically saying we give you 100% of the offer price. Let's say we go up to that 418. That's the 418 right there, right? If we get that working, you can see that the discount is less. Now we're only asking for a 12% decrease in the price because we're going to pay a little bit more, $418,000, but it's still going to profit for us. We're still going to make money. And this property is going to work for us based on this type of financing. Okay? Any questions? From the new group, any questions? No? Okay. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry. The best thing you can do is run scenarios. Just keep running numbers through the property, through the sheet. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We go over it so many times. Yeah, it comes with practice. Yeah, it'll be fine. The main thing is practice. Keep showing up to the call. We'll keep reviewing them. It'll be fine. Give yourself a couple weeks to figure out the sheet. It's a lot of information, but we want to make sure we don't make a mistake. So I don't want you to get stressed out or worry about it. If you do, reach out to me. You know how to do that, and give yourself the opportunity to learn it. And it'll give you the You're very confused? I'm very confused. I will give it time. Good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So what I'll do actually, if you want, what I'll do is, let me see something. Let me do something for you. Okay. So I'm gonna move away from the sheet. I'm gonna go back to the screen for a second. And I'll show you something here. Hold on. Okay, we're back here. All right. 1 second. Let's go here. Okay, I will give you another file that you can use that's simpler to look at and use, and maybe it'll help you do a quick calculation on a couple of properties, and it'll be easier for you to see and understand. Okay, so give me 1 second. All right, let's do that. Share file. Okay. Okay, everybody can grab that file. New people, folks from Toronto, please, you can grab that file and that file, and that will be a simpler sheet to look at. You might want to use that one initially just to get your head around the other one. It's not as in depth at all, but it still has the key indicators on it. It's something that might be easier for you to ease into. Okay, so you're welcome to download that. Yep, here, let me give you that. There you go, Lazar. Yep. Okay. Everyone can grab this 6 indicator if you want to use that. That's a simpler, it's a simpler one to look at. Okay. Albert and Annie, I did get your message. Did you get a chance to run some numbers on that? Okay, good. 7 sheets? That's good, that's good. That's good. And then I've been running numbers on properties, and we found a few things that seem to check all the boxes. We're hoping to submit an offer. Do you think we have time today to go over them? Send them to me. I'll see what I can do to go over them tonight. I definitely want you to want it to be in a better. I want you to look it over. Okay. All right. Albert, send me the sheets. I know you sent me the text. Did you send me the sheets? I don't believe I got those sheets. No? Okay. Can you send them to me? Okay. We're wondering if we sent it to the wrong email. Email. You can use either one of the emails. You can use the same email, the Gmail one. That's fine. If you have any trouble with the legacy email, just send me the Gmail one. Always use the Gmail one as your backup. Definitely, I'll be able to see that. Okay. With the summary. Okay, we were wondering if we sent it to the wrong email. You can send that to me again. Albert and Aline, you can send me that. And we're also going to look over a sheet that was sent to me. Okay, 1 second. Okay, Danny sent me one that we're gonna look at. So Danny, you're on the call, yes? Danny, here you are. Okay, so Danny, the one you sent me, the sheet you sent me, it doesn't have a lot of information on it, and you're asking the question about wholesale versus rent to own. Is this a question? Okay, this is an actual property though, right, Danny? Okay, all right, we can look at that, Danny, together with the group. Okay, so anybody, the other two groups, Albert and Annie and Wayne, you can send me. Okay, so Wayne, I got yours. That's good. Albert and Annie, you can send me yours. Okay, so today we were going to go over contracts, but we might delay that. I want to go over these sheets. I think it's important to go over deals first. We will definitely continue with the themes of contracts and continue to better understand that. Okay, so let's look at Danny's rent to own. Let me 1 second. Okay, share. 1 second. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll look over the sheet that was sent to me. Okay, so hold on. Share my screen. All right. Okay, so I'm looking at the right sheet. Yes. Danny, is that right? Okay, so Danny, this is a example. You got example number 2, rent to own. This is the rent to own property you're looking at. I'll let you keep typing. I'm going to go over it. So we see the property is at 373.5. It's 1 unit. The rent comes out at 19,372. That's an odd rent number. Is there a story there with the rent? Okay, let's see. It was more for wholesale, but I did not have any numbers for wholesale, so I sent another one with rent to own. Rent, I used the mortgage payment. You used the mortgage payment? I'm not sure I understand. What's the monthly rent? So what we want to do, right, obviously, is we want to put the gross rent here, and this will give us that. I'm sure you meant to do that, Danny. So what's the monthly rent? Do you have that information? Okay, Danny, I'm just looking at the rent right now. What's the monthly rent? How much are they paying in rent per month? There is none. The house is empty, is that what you mean? Or they live in the house? Yeah, it's single family home, right? Okay. So what's the average rent in the area? Do you know? Do you not know? Okay, so we want to use market rents. Okay, market rent. Can anybody tell me how I can find the market rents on this property? Or a general idea. There's a couple ways I can do that. How can I do that? How can I find market rents? Yeah, you can compare some with Kijiji in the area. Sure. Where else? You could ask a real estate broker, talk to an agent. CMHC has some listings, rental listings. Yep. Pad Mapper, research online, compare to other homes like it. So yeah, you can figure out general, rents in an area, but in a particular neighborhood, if there's property management that deals with it, any of the places are rented, you can call a property manager. You can also look at the other sources that were mentioned. Kijiji. Just give me 1 second. Let me give you a source here. Hold on one second. I will give you a source. I will list a source, another source where you can find rents. Okay, but let's assume in this house, what do you think the rent could be? Why don't we go with that? What do you think the rent could be? What's realistic, you think, Danny, on this deal, on this house? Okay. Let's see, but as well as comes down to the current home state, which determines the rent. I don't know exactly what you mean there. I think you mean the condition of the house. Is that what you're saying, Lazar? Okay, market rents. When we're looking at market rents, it's always in the sense of retail. So the rent might be less, Lazar, in a particular house, but the house should be able to be moved into. So we're always looking at retail rents. Okay, we're always looking at retail rents. Okay, we're always going to try to provide clean, safe housing. Okay, here's some details on the house. Professional assessment at 520. The property is located at prestigious area. Offers you a large and bright common rooms, elegant kitchens, okay, cozy living room, furnished. Okay, that sounds great. Okay. Those are great. That's an ad that you can put out for the rent to own. Absolutely, Danny. So those are great details. I'm going to assume it's in retail condition. At the end of the day, we also, we always want to know what the numbers are, the pure numbers are about the property. So based on this, it sounds like it's in a retail state, Danny. Okay. So and it's in a good area. So I'm going to say that the rent is, and you need to check this, obviously. Let's say $22.50. Okay, that's $27,000 a month. Okay, all right. Other sources of income, probably not, because it's a single-family home. There might be parking, in some areas, but let's just assume that the parking it has its own parking. Okay, so we come down here. That's the actual taxes and insurance, right? You verified that? Okay, good. All right. So we come back here, vacancy, maintenance, and management. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5, 5, and 10 for now. I know you're looking at a rent to own. So the reason Danny put these as 0 is why? Why are those 0? Why were they 0, folks? Why did Danny do that? Yeah, the tenants pay it. If it's rent to own, the vacancy is dealt with through the option contract. Maintenance is dealt with the tenant, buyer, and management. There is no management fee because they are managing the property themselves. Yeah, okay. So let's put 5, 5, 10 just for the sake of running the numbers initially. Okay. First mortgage 75% at 3.75, 30-year. Second mortgage 20%. Is that, I assume that this money is being borrowed at 10%. Is that right? Okay, and then leaves us 5% down at that doesn't matter, 0 doesn't matter. There's no mortgage there. Okay, so when we look at, come down here, the profit. Let's wait a minute. Let's go over here. So here, total expense from total operating expense, total net income 60. So that's a good balance initially. Then we have the financing coming into play. Coverage ratio is 0.7, not good. We'd like to see that at 1.2. So let's just see something. If that's a 0, 0, 0, let's see what happens. Coverage ratio goes over to 9. 6.4. Okay, so what we can do is, you know, we can maybe get some help with the financing when it comes down to it, but let's leave it where it is. We see that the cash-on-cash return is minus 8%, average profit per unit 123. So let's go back up here, and we're going to tack an extra $250 per month. And why are we going to put another $250 on the month on the property? Let's see if that helps us. We're going to charge them $2,500 times 12. It's $30,000 because of a possible rent credit that we could give them, because we're charging them a little bit extra to give them a little bit more at the end of the term. See if that helps. Gets us to 1.7. Does make it cash flow. Cash on cash return is 8% basically. GRM is kind of high. Current cap rate's low. Average cost per unit 373. Current coverage ratio we said is 1.7. Okay, if we come down here and we put these numbers the same, which you did, good, excellent. We see that the value of the property is 247 versus the 373. It's quite a dip. Yeah, you could do additional down payment too, Dave. Yep, to change this metric. If we did this to 0 and this to 20, that would, oops, let's go 25. That will affect the coverage ratio, right? Because we're not paying interest on that amount on the property. So that would increase the coverage ratio and the average per unit. Because this right here is, oops, this right here, let's get that back to 100. This 10% is on that 20. On that 20 is it might not be sustainable with this property, okay, because of the price. But that's okay. Finance is great at financing. It's up to us to use it, whether we use it or not. Okay. So if we come down here, we see that the property is valued at 247. That's based on its net operating income after we pay financing. That's why that number's so low, 247.7. That's quite the dip from 373. Now, Dan, is this the best we can do on the property? Is there any leeway? Are they motivated? Okay, so let's talk about a couple key points. Look, the property itself is 375. Okay, is the property really worth 500K? Well, that would be based on the cap rate of that particular area. Now it's sitting at 5, right? The cap rate, but the cap rate could be 6, it could be 7, right? Which is actually below the retail. That cap rate is something that you get a better understanding by running property numbers. Properties listed in the area that are bought and sold, and or you can ask a realtor, right, that deals in the area that can give you a general cap rate on that. 3 is in a metropolitan area. You're going to see cap rates, but neighborhood to neighborhood, these can run higher. This can run at a 6. So for us to say that's the real number, I wouldn't say that. I would just say that, you know, if we understand the cap rate of that particular area, that will give us a better idea. Okay. So a couple things I want to say about this property. So the main functions that are creating, positive or negative in this situation in the way of cash flow are the big ones are price, income from the gross income from the property, expenses are expenses, right? Because we're not really, there's no additional expenses. There's no additional expenses other than the taxes and insurance in this case, which we can't control. That's what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, you could flip the property. For sure, if you knew that the value was up there, but we'd have to verify that with the realtor. And this is a realtor listed property, right, Danny? Okay, so it's probably close to retail, right? But you can ask them; they can tell you. Okay, so I would say that when a realtor says 373 is retail, and this is a retail a property that's retail. Then I'm going to assume that they know their work. They know what the buying and selling of the area is. That the cap rate's going to be closer to that price. So I could put, I would probably put a 6.5. Yeah, like a 6.5 is what that neighborhood's probably running at. I can't be for sure until I run a series of properties or ask the realtor to verify that. But you see how that can give you an idea of what the standard cap rate is in the area. Where did they get the assessment of 500? I don't think they did. That was just a number that was in there. They are saying that the asking is below market. So Danny, find out what the realtor is telling you, right? I would prefer it's your realtor, but you can ask their realtor what they believe the price is at. Okay, what the real retail price is at. Okay, that'll give you a better idea of the cap rate. Okay, and what the cap rate is. Okay, so big things that are you know, deciding the fate of this property. Just going to move that up. The fate of this property, or what are the big ones here? Obviously price, income, and financing. Those are the ones, right? Okay, so price, income, and financing. Those are going to affect the outcome of this property. Okay, so when we look at the price is price. We can work with that. Okay, obviously. But this dip from 373 to 247, that's a big dip. So we want to look at the possibilities of this, the income, and or the financing option to make this property work for us. Okay, so let's say that and this is what is generally the rule for a quick calculation. It's not always gonna you're not always going to see that or mean that it's profitable or non-profitable. But what would we like to see on a 373 500? How much would I like to see per month? General rule. What would I say? 1%. Absolutely. So let's say that it's 3,700 a month is what I want to say. Now look at the difference here. If I'm actually getting 1% on this property, 3,700 times 12, 44.4. 44.4. Okay, that's per year. Okay, now that's 3,700 a month. Now, when we're bringing in this kind of income, look what happens. Okay, now, cap rate's in good shape. Everything's in good shape. This is with the 75%. This is with the absolutely. This is with the 10% in, because it's giving us 1%. Right? We know this is, you know, when you see a 1% ratio, so if a house is 100,000 and you're getting 1,000 a month, you're in great shape. Typically, you're in great shape. So the property, you know, if you can't, obviously, if the rent's not there, the rent's not there. It is what it is. But that obviously makes a big difference between, you know, the profitability of a house. Yeah, it's a huge change. So if we look at now going back to say 2,500, you know. 2,500, that's going to be 30,000. That's not quite 1%. It's not quite 1%. 30,000. And we come down here and we see that the cap is 6.6. The GRMs, you know, the numbers don't look so good anymore, right? The coverage ratio is not so good anymore either. Okay, so for quick calculation, 1% rule stands is a good way to know. It doesn't necessarily mean it every time, because obviously we got to run the expenses on it, and there's no management here. There's no management here. Now, just let's go back to the 1% for a second. That was 44.5, I believe. Yeah, 44.5. 3708. That wouldn't be quite there. So maybe it's 44. What did I do? Okay, I can't remember what I had. Oh, 44.4. Okay. Too many fours. Okay, it's too many zeros. We finally got it. There we go. Okay, so let's assume that it's 1% at 44. It's $3,700. It's 1%. We see that the numbers look great and outstanding. The coverage ratio is outstanding. Everything looks good. Even with this financing situation, it's still good. Let's see what happens when we put 5%, 5%, 10%. So it's going to be rented out as a property. What happens? We come down here and the cap rate it drops to 8.1, 37, excellent. The average income per unit still excellent. Coverage ratio is still excellent. So the cap rate's just a little bit lower than what we like to see. But that's even with these expenses. You know, even with the expenses of management, if it was a rental property, which typically we wouldn't do with a single family home. But that's the power, you know, the situation where you're looking at a 1%, close to 1% rent income, right? So there might be an opportunity. If it was 1%, even to take on the extra additional cost. to make this work. You can see 302 is the price versus the 373, which is considerably closer to that retail price. Okay, so let's go back and let's put 3,000, and let's see what we can do. 3,000, 2,500. Okay, we're going to make these zeros again. Okay, and what's the other option? Well, financing. Well, financing, if we did 75 at 30 at 3.7, we had this 0. We put this at 20, and at 20% down, let's see what the coverage ratio works now. We see that the average cash on cash is 12.37, average profit per unit, 7,000. Well, for the house, we're going to get $771. GRM is 12.4, not great. The cap rate, not great. Current price per unit, doesn't matter. I don't want you to worry about. The coverage ratio is good. Now, look at this. This is a 6.1 cap rate. What's this telling us? Well, it's telling us that the income, if we bought this house, for $375 cash, $373.5 cash, $500 cash. If you take out the expenses, the income left over, right? We would be getting a 6.6% return on this property, this investment of $373. Does everybody understand that? Right? So $373 cash. That's what cap rate is. If I paid cash, how much would I make in return? Well, if I paid cash, paid these expenses, because that'd be my only expense, I didn't have a mortgage, my return on investment would be 6.6. Typically, 6.6 is kind of low. That's a huge amount of money for a 6.6 return in a property. I'm taking the risk, not interested. Now, the reason that the property still profits and makes money is why? Well, because I'm putting 20% down. So if I'm putting 20% down, instead of looking at the cap rate, right, 373, and the return on that cap rate, 6.6, I would look at the cash on cash. Well, the cash on cash is 12.39%. Well, it's better, but not great, But let me just catch up with some of these questions. Hold on, okay. Okay, Sam, would you debt service this? Only 95%. You mean like this? So let's see. If I went like that and that, we look, and if we put, if I could get 95% of the financing at 375, is that what you mean? Or you mean back to the 20 and it was 80, 75, 20 and 5, like that. That's what you mean. Okay, you mean back to the original number? Yes, that's what you mean, right? Okay, so do you remember what I said about cap rate? Why cap rate's important to be around 10? Can anyone tell me why that cap rate needs to be around 10? Exactly, Sierra, you're absolutely right. So the cap rate needs to be at 10 because it allows for creative financing. At 6, there's very little in the way of creative financing that's possible. Now, think about this. If I pay, you know what, I'm going to go back to the whiteboard, okay? So right now, Danny, I'd say that the big challenge here is income and rent. Next steps for you, Danny, is finding out what the retail value based, because they said it was a discount, and see if we can find out the market rents, okay? And then follow up, okay, Danny? Okay, no worries. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing for a second and go over this real quick, okay? All right. So if let's give me 1 second. Okay, this is the challenge we're facing, folks, when we're looking at property or investing. Period. Really, okay, is that if you don't get that cap rate, right? So let's look at it again. So $100,000 property, that's the purchase price, 100K, and I make 10K net operating income. Okay, net operating income means I paid all my bills. I paid taxes. I paid taxes. If there's maintenance, any bills associated with it, insurance, it's paid. At the end of the month, at the end of the year, I make 10K. This means, what does it mean for return on investment? ROI of 10%. Everybody see that? It's 10% is the return on investment. Okay? Now, ROI, and please, the new folks from Toronto, please pipe in if you have any additional questions. I want you to feel part of the group and feel like you can ask anything, okay? So if you see it, it's important that you know, you're good. If you're not, that's okay. You say you're not, we can review it, okay? So ROI at 10%. All right, so then we look at this. Look, ROI at 10% is the same thing as what? Cap rate of 10. Same thing. Cap rate of 10. Same thing. That's what it means. Cap rate 10 means ROI of 10. So if the cap rate is 5, what would that mean? Well, it means a 5% return on the property, right? It means that the property, this property, right, is giving me a 5 cap rate, which is the same as 5%, which would mean this number would now be what? 5K per year. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Simple, right? Okay, good. So, excellent. So, why this is important to get a 10 cap rate is because when we look at, just getting a new whiteboard. Actually, let's do this. Okay, that's okay, there we go. Okay, so why is that important? That's important because when you look at creative financing, okay, if I have the same property at 100K and my net operating income equals 10K per year, that's a 10% return on investment. Everybody sees that. This is the challenge. If I don't have a 10K, then you know I can't really do a lot of creative financing. At 10K though, what I could do is I could have creative financing. Let's do that again. Creative financing of, you know, anywhere from 5 to 7%, and I'm still making money. That could be what it costs me in the way of interest, and I'm still making money, right? Because if I'm making 10,000, right? So I'm making 10K. So look at this, 10K, and my financing, say, is even at the top end of this 7. That means 7K is it's costing me to finance. 7K, right, is what it's costing me to finance. Then what do I make? 3K. What's my return on investment? You could tell me the return on investment in this scenario. It's not 3. It's a good one. It's not 3. What is it? What's the return on investment? It's unlimited. It's infinite. Wayne, you're right. So it was kind of a trick question because look, the 7K that I'm paying is assuming that I'm financing this at 100%. But it could be a lower percentage or a different percentage. It wouldn't be 3 though. It wouldn't be 3. It'd be much higher. Now, 100K fully financed, even paying 7%, which is about 2 times or close to 2 times the mortgage rate. I'm still making 3K. That won't work
If I have a 6 cap rate, my cap rate is 6 cap. If I try to finance it at 7, I'm only making $6K per year. If it's costing me $7K, I'll be negative $1K. Everybody see that? That's why the cap rate is so important. It's so important. Now, not only is the cap rate important for the creative financing, that's not the only reason, okay? What else does this help us with? What does it resolve for us? Can anybody tell me what your thoughts are? Why is it important to get that cap rate and to be able to use that creative financing? OPM, yeah. More cash flow, yeah. Those are all right. Okay, so here's the big reason. Okay, those are all right. Okay, it's the metric that is affected most importantly in this scenario is cash on cash return. What's that mean? It means based on how much you put in, what's your return? Because we're not paying cash for the property. We're not paying the whole property off. And if we don't get a 10 cap rate, that's going to seriously affect our cash on cash return, right? So if we're looking for cash on cash return, say of 20%, that's the goal, say. I know we're at 30 on the sheet, but just let's say 20% is what we're looking for. What does that mean on that $100,000 property? Well, 100K, if I put down 20K, okay, of my own cash, that's my cash, 20K, and I finance 80K. 80K is financed, okay? At 20K, if just looking at those numbers, we don't know interest rates or anything, okay? We don't know anything yet, okay? But 20K financed, if I want to make 20%, how much do I need to make per year on that 20K in cash value? How much? How much does 20% produce on 20,000? 20% of 20,000? Good, it's 4K. It's 4K, okay? So 20% on 20,000 is 4K. Does everybody understand that? Everybody sees that? Okay, so 20,000, 20% is 4K. Oops, 4,000. Okay, good, 4K. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean to me? Well, if I got to make $4,000, right? That means that I got to have enough money. I have to have enough money in the property. I'm only putting 20K. The remaining 80K cannot cost me so much money that I don't make my 4K. So if this 80K is making me, let's say I'm paying 7%. If I'm paying 7%, sorry about that. If I'm paying 7% interest on 80K, can anybody tell me what that's going to cost me per year? So 7 times 8 is 5,600, that's right. So it's going to cost me 5,600. I'm running out of space here. I should write smaller. Okay, let's just back up for a second. I want to get more space because I want to stay on this page. Okay, so let's do this. 4K is my goal. That's 20% times 80. We got that. If I pay per year 5,600 in interest, right? That's my interest, and I want to pull out of the property 4,000. What does that add up to? 9,600. What does this 9,600 represent? You can tell me. Yeah, Stephen, you're right. I have to be able to net operating income of 9,600 for me to pull my 4,000 out. Okay? That's after I pay all my bills. If I pay all my bills and I'm making less than 5,600, what's going to happen? I'm not going to make 4,000 anymore, right? I'm not going to be able to get my 20% because I won't be able to keep $4,000 because it's costing me more than 5,600. Okay, is anybody confused at this point? If you are, it's okay. It's okay. All right, that's okay. All right. The reason I'm bringing this is a reverse calculation that I'm doing here. The reason I'm doing this is because I want you to see. Let's see if we can do another one of these. I want you to see that if you don't get the cap rate near 10, can you cash flow a property if the cap rate's not at 10? Who can tell me? Yes? No? Can you cash flow a property? Sure you can. Yeah, you still can. Right? How do you cash flow any property? Pay it off. But the problem with paying it off is this, right? If you pay off the property, your return on investment, your cash on cash return is terrible. So if we go back to the property we're looking at, let me just go back to that. The cap rate was 6.6%. Because the cap rate was 6.6%, we were only making 8%, 9% return on the cash investment. And all we were putting was our percentage down, the 20% down. So let's look at another example, okay? So we're still working with that 100K property. Okay? So 100K property, we're going to put 20,000 down. We're going to mortgage 80,000. Okay? Now let's say that the mortgage on this is 4%. Okay? So 4% on the mortgage is going to cost us around, excuse me. Let's see. Let me run the numbers on this real quick. Unless someone's got a mortgage calculator. Is that from a mortgage calculator, Danny? I'm looking at a real mortgage at 4%. Okay, so currently, if I did that, let's go 80,000, and I did it at 4%, and I did it for 30 years. Let's do 30 years, because they're coming back. You know, so 381, so 382, so 382 times 12 equals 4584. So this is 382 per month, which is 4584. Everybody understand where we are now? Yes? That's what it's going to cost us. Okay? Is anybody lost at this point? And it's okay if you are. Everybody's good? That's what we're paying in mortgage. Everybody's good? No, everybody's on board, right? Because if you're not, good. So 4584 is the cost. Okay? Now, to break even on this property, okay? What do we need to bring in at least after paying all our bills? After paying all our bills, we need to bring out how much? How much do we need? There you go. We need at least this much money, right, coming in from our rents after we pay our bills, taxes and insurance and maintenance or whatever. We need at least $45.84. Now, then it becomes the question of what's left over after this. So let's pretend after everything we're bringing in. So let's go. What's the rent going to be on here? Let's go. Right. We're not going to go super competitive because I want to illustrate this to you. Let's say the rent on this $100,000 property is $750 a month, and let's say that it's 12 months. That's $9,000. So if we bring in $9,000 Is everybody good with these numbers? This makes sense, yes? So $750, just think of it as a unit. $750 is rent, so rent, 750 per month. That equals how much? 9,000. 9K, right, per year. Everybody with me? It's a terrible 750, but it's a 750, okay? So 750 and 9K. So that's just the rent. That's just the rent. But automatically, expenses on this property. A quick calculation for you is when you see a gross rent, the safest thing to do, because it's going to be around that amount, is to cut it in half, right? So that means expenses are going to be $4,500. Okay, $4,500. Okay, so that leaves how much? $4,500. Is this property going to cash flow? No, it's not going to cash flow because we need at least $4,584. We're only bringing in $4,500. Okay, so let's go back for a second and let's say, you know what? My expenses on this are not $4,500 anymore because I'm doing a rent to own. And because I'm doing the rent to own, a couple things are going to change for me. Okay, so because I'm doing rent to own, now what do I got? I got 1,000 rent, 1,000. So rent 1,000 per month, 1K per month, which equals 12K a year. So I'm going to put the extra premium to 250, 12K. All right, and my expenses now are not 4,000, 50% of the income, because I'm not paying anything except taxes, and I'm paying insurance. So taxes on this 1% is 1,000, 12,000. Sorry, it's going to be 1%, which is 100, 1,200 plus mortgage. Plus insurance is say another 1,200. Say the whole thing's going to cost us $2,400 in expenses. Okay, so expenses. I got taxes, and I got insurance. That's it. That's going to cost me $2,400. Okay, everybody with me? If you're not okay, let me know. Okay, so it's going to cost $2,400 now because I don't pay any of the bills except taxes and in the insurance. Obviously, I have the mortgage, but that's the mortgage over here. The mortgage is on this side. So this means now I make how much? I make how much? I make $9,600 per year. Is everybody with me? Okay. Now, $9,600, is this going to cash flow? Yes, because, absolutely, because the expenses right here are $4,584. Okay? The expenses is $4,584. We got 96, so we're in good shape, right? Everything looks good. So let's continue. So I minus the $4,584, because that's the cost of the mortgage. And what am I left with? 5,000 and $16. Yep. Everybody with me? Okay, now here's the question. What is your cash on cash return? What is your cash on cash return? Peter says 25. Anybody else? What's your cash on cash return? What does that mean, cash on cash? How much do they put up and how much am I getting back? So it's not against the whole property, right? This is what I put up, not this 100,000. I didn't put up 10,000. I put up 20K. And if I'm making 5,000, how much am I making? So Dave, you see that, Dave? My real cap, you're thinking cap, Dave. That's why. So if we're looking at cash on cash return, that's 25%. Is 25% good? Yeah, that's a good return. That's a good return. Nothing wrong with 25%. But we have to remember, what's the rule? Well, when it comes to investing, this is the rule, okay? And this is why we want debt when it comes to real estate, right? This is very important for us to have debt, not because we don't want to put money in property, which we don't. It's because it affects the cash on cash return, right? So let's look at that as an example. So one thing we want to keep in mind is this, okay? Let me pull this out again, okay? So if I look at this, right? So our ROI versus cash. ROI versus cash. Cash in the property. What's the relationship? Right? If the more cash I put, the lower my ROI. Does everybody understand that? Good. Good. Now, ROI versus cash. More cash, less ROI. But what about cash in the property versus cash flow? If cash flow is up, if the amount of money I put in is high, what does it do to my cash flow? Does it go up or down? No, it actually goes up. The higher that I put in, the more cash that I put in, the higher the cash flow. Now this is where people get confused. They're like, wait a minute. If that's true, why wouldn't I put more cash in a property? Because it's going to give me cash flow. If I'm investing for cash flow, that's what I should do. Well, the problem is you can't invest for cash flow. Cash flow is the outcome. We're investing for return on investment, first and foremost, and it produces a good cash flow. Okay? It has to produce some cash flow. Any cash flow, really. In this case, we're looking at 75 a door. So let's look at an example. Okay? So if I have, 50K in on this property, doesn't matter the property, 50K, the cash flow is at 2K per month. Okay? The return on investment, maybe I should do yearly. So 50K is too small for that amount. Let's go, because that would mean it was making 24,000. If I put in, if I put in 100K and my cash flow is 800 net 800, that's not bad. $800 per month, and I should do for the year 800 per month is how much? How much is that over 12 months? 8 times 12 is 9,600. Okay, that looks pretty good. 9,600. What's my return on investment? 9.6. Okay, does everybody follow that? Okay. Reasonable return, Dave. It's got to be double digits. You're looking, I don't want to see under 10, but I'd rather see it, 20 is good. 20 to 30 is where we want to be. Now let's look. 100K, 9,600. Now, if this is the output, okay, the output, and this is what we put in, and this is the return. This is one property. Now let's say the property is worth more than 100K. We're just putting in 100K and we're making 9,600 bucks. Okay, so let's say that I put in 150K. Okay, what happens to my cash? Oops, my apologies. Let's go down. That's one property. Okay, let's say that another property is similar to this property. I put up 50K. It's a $100,000 property. This one I paid, let's just say this one I paid cash, okay? This is cash. I paid cash. That's my return. That's my cash flow, and that's my return. If I put in 50K to that into a similar property, $100,000 property, what will happen to my cash flow? So I'm only putting up 50% of the money. So remember, and I'll do this for you. So if I put less cash in, what's going to happen to my cash flow? Cash flow goes down, good. Oops. Cash flow goes down. But what happens to my ROI? ROI goes up. Okay, so on a 50K, if I put in 50,000, I'm not going to make 9,600 anymore, obviously, because there's a mortgage. And let's say the mortgage is going to take up, because I'm only putting a $50,000 mortgage, it's going to take up 25% of the income, the gross income. This 9,600 is going to take 25% away. Let's say, just say, for the sake of argument, it's going to take $2,600 away because of the mortgage per year. So I'm going to end up with 7,000. Oops, let's stay with black. Let's go back. So instead of me making 96 because I have a mortgage, I only make $7,000. Okay? What happens to my ROI? What's 7,000 for 50? Goes up to what? What does it go up to? What is 7,000 against 50? What's 7,000 against 50? 14%. Everybody got that? Good. 14%. Good. Okay. That's the relationship when it comes to investing. That's why we want to go into debt. That's why we want to put less money. Now, I want you to do something for me. Forget about the fact that this is property we're talking about. Forget about that fact. Okay? Let's just look at if these were investments. Okay? If these were just investments, right? These are two separate investments in whatever. It could be stock, business, it doesn't matter. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? The second one. Exactly. You want the 14% return. Now here's the problem people have. Because they don't understand the concept behind this, and we, let's be honest, we weren't educated about money and business. We get caught up on what? We get caught up on cash flow. So we think, on the surface, we think what? We think this one here is the better one. Because it's clearly better because it makes more cash flow. But we don't realize that, the only way to judge these two fairly, to understand which is the better one for us, is to look at what? You have to look at return on investment. You can't look at cash flow, because cash flow could be deceptive. So when you look at these properties they send to you, don't be seduced by the cash flow they're telling you. The question you always have to ask yourself is, what's the return on investment? That's the only thing that we can trust. We could do 2 deals for, yeah, exactly. Peter, you're right. We could do 2 deals. 2 deals, and we'll actually make more cash flow, because the higher up we go on the 50K, the more we're going to make actual cash flow. So does everybody understand this? Is everybody clear on this? So the main thing to always judge any investment, it doesn't matter what you're in, real estate, stock market, business, it doesn't matter. You always have to look at the return on investment. You always have to look at the ROI. And because that's true, because you always have to look at ROI to see which one's better, not the cash flow, the ROI, then you have to consider this. If that's true, then which do I want, the black? Do I want the black or the red? Well, if I want my ROI to be higher, I want the red. So if I want the ROI to be higher, well then I have to have less cash in and possibly less cash flow. But my return on investment is the one that I got to judge. Is everybody clear on that? I'm looking for return on investment. Because I can always ramp up with more money. But at the end of the day, return on investment is the only thing that matters. If someone came to you, yeah, you want red. If somebody came to you and said, I need to borrow $100,000, and I'm going to pay you $10,000 a year, that's 10%. It's 10%, 10,000. But if somebody said to you, you know what, I got this other investment where I'll pay you $20,000, so it's twice the cash flow, you're just going to have to give me $500,000. And you're like, wait a minute, I was getting 10% now. Yeah, I'm getting more cash flow on this loan, but I'm not getting the same return. So we don't want cash flow to deter us or to mislead us on the value of an investment. It's always return on investment. If that's true, this is the relationship between these three. I'm looking to put more cash in, and yes, I'll make less cash flow. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Because this is true, right? Creative financing becomes important to our business. People think creative financing is great because you don't have to put money in property. It's great because you can do real estate without money. It's actually better business sense to use less of your own money. You're going to increase your return. That's the driving force. It's not because we can do property with nothing, which we can. Relatively, I mean, you could use an OPM to fund a real estate project. It's the return on investment that we're looking at. That's why we would like to put less cash in. If we'd like to put less cash in, then we have to understand creative financing. When we're looking at financing a property, we always want to reduce the amount of cash that we're putting in, and obviously we have to consider the cost of that cash, right? And that's why cap rate becomes important, because if I have less than a 10 cap rate, I have to take that into account well, how much can I finance this property at? And does anybody remember why I said 10 cap rate was the cap rate currently, and it would change in the future possibly? Does anybody remember? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to add one more thing to this, and we're going to wrap up from this. Let me see. Okay, hold on. There you go, Peter got it. Look, Peter, can you add more to that? So here, look. This is why the cap rate's 10, okay? Currently, interest rates are 3 to 4, okay? So interest rates are 3 to 4, right? Creative financing is what? Creative financing is going to be sitting around, anyway, 5 to 10. Let's go with 7, okay? 7, okay, around 7. We'll go 7 just as a number, but that's okay. 3 to 4, 7. Creative financing 4 is going to add up to 7. Now, when I say creative financing, that's a combination of this and private or hard money. Okay, it's going to be 7% because we're going to get some low-cost money and some expensive money, and that's what's going to give us the 7. If the if the creative financing costs us 7 when we do creative financing of properties, then the cap rate, that's not very pretty. Let's do that again. Then the cap can be 10, and we can still make money. Does that make sense? Because these are negatives, costs. This is income, plus. So that gives us what? 3. Does everybody understand that? If we use creative financing, we make 3. Okay? Now look, as the interest rates rise, if the interest rates are 7, what's your creative financing going to be sitting around? A little bit higher, probably. Just a little bit higher, but that's okay. 12. We're going to be more like 12. Okay, those are negatives. So if my current cash or my creative financing is producing 12, what's my cap rate got to be now? What does it have to be? What's my cap rate need to be? There you go, 15. 15 to make 3. If we get into real high interest rates where it's 10, then this is going to be 15, and this is going to be 18. Cap rate. Those are pluses to make my 3. Does that make sense to everybody? So the cap rate, good. The cap rate is a function of the cost of doing business. That's what the cap rate is, right? And if you look back historically in Canada, you can follow it. And you'll see that you have the first thing you look at is what? Anybody know? First thing is GICs for the bank. GICs. Then it goes, so the GIC is 1%, the mortgage rate is 3%, private money is 8, maybe it's 10. Hard money is, hard money becomes, around 12 to 24. That's a wide range, but that's what it is. Does everybody see that? What all starts that is the GIC. The GIC is the one that starts it all. As GICs, how much they're paying for a GIC is more. Does anybody know why GIC started it all? What do GICs represent for a bank? Guaranteed investment certificate, but what's it represent to a bank? Yep. What's it represent? You're basically, when you buy a GIC from a bank, you're basically investing in the bank. Saying, here, I'll give you this money, you give me a return, guaranteed return. So the bank, as the bank, it's basically a bond. That's exactly what it is. It's a bond. And what the bank does is the bank says, if we need to attract new money, because they don't make any money until they have money in deposits, right? Because they can lend only based on what they have. If GICs at 1% are not attracting no new money, we're not getting new money from this, what should we do? Well, we're gonna offer our GICs now with a return of 2% or 3%. Every time they do that, everything else has to go up to adjust to that GIC. The money they need to attract new money, the GIC represents that. Everything else is going to go up relative to the price. If you want to go one step even further back from the GIC, you could use bank rate. Absolutely, the bank rate could be used. The Canadian bank rate, the Bank of Canada, what their rate is to the banks. But at the end of the day, the relationship with the public and the banks really is, it could still be a little bit different. It's not as direct as for me, in my experience, as the GIC and representing what it can produce in the way of changes to the interest rates. Oh, private money and hard money. So GIC is, and then mortgage rate, private money, and hard money. My apologies. I might have went a little fast there. So GIC, mortgage rate, private money, hard money. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, we learned something tonight, yes? Good, because I want you to understand why we do. Yeah, it's why we do what we do. It's why we do what we do. So this is what I want to do. It's 11:15. We're going to have to wrap up. So what I'm going to do is I'll apologize to the folks. You sent me some stuff. I'm going to review it tonight. I'm going to get back to everybody tomorrow. Okay? So Wayne, you sent me yours. And I also got the other one with the 7 properties. Right, Wayne, you're good. And you sent me the. Hold on, just let me double check. Danny, you know what to do with yours. No, I didn't give the second part of the purchase contract. We'll do that next week, Jose, okay? Okay. Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do it through. When investing money in the arm's length mortgage or syndicated mortgage, what is due diligence process for the investment? Well, I mean, if you're investing in an arm's length mortgage or a syndicated mortgage, any mortgage, it really comes down to security of the loan and interest rate. That's what it really comes down to, Hugo and Jane. Does that make sense? So, if you want to send me something to look at, I'll be more than happy to look at that, Hugo and Jane. Okay. So I also got the, let's see. Yep, I got the 7 properties. Excellent. Excellent. All right. All right, Albert and Annie, you got yours. Yep. Okay, so Albert and Annie, I'm going to look at that and get back to you guys in the next day. It will just take me a day. Same with the other deal Wayne sent me, okay? Okay, so let me just answer this. Sam, what is the other source what we're talking about at the beginning? What is the other source? Oh, good. Okay, that's good. Here, let me give you another source. Hold on 1 second, folks. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, I have it right here. Give me 1 second, just to give you an example. All right. Here's an example. If you click on this link, it'll take you to the average race for Ottawa. But click on that link. Everybody should have this link. A couple things just to remind you. Please save this link that you're looking at. The link to this room. Please put that in your favorites, because it's always going to be this link. You should grab this link to help you out with rentals, to give you an idea of rentals. You know, when you get these great links, it's a good idea, in my opinion, to save them as favorites. So Danny, that's one, but everyone should be looking at that. Another one that you CHMC. Give me 1 second. I'll just get to the link. See, there we go. This is a great site. Okay. Yeah, looking for research. Sorry about that. There we go. CMHC. Looking for data. It's historical, but it's good. Okay, CMHC, Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Okay, that's a good one. For links. Okay. Someone else asked me, give me 1 second, I might want to give you something else. Okay. Okay, this is just a review of, Power Team members Peter uses. So I can share with you. Here we go. Let me put that in here. Hold on 1 sec. So, oops, let's do this. Let's add it, upload file. And someone was asking me about that. Okay. You can grab that document too, building your power team. Everybody see that? Building your power team. And 6 indicators. All 3 of those files if you don't have them. You can grab them. Okay. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. There's an app which calculates rentals for Montreal. Oh, that's cool. What's the app called? Let you put that up. So I'm going to wrap up the meeting. Is there any questions before we wrap up? Does anybody else need me to look at anything? Because right now I'm looking at my pleasure. Yeah, no worries. My new people from Toronto, how you doing? Is your head spinning a little bit? Yeah, please do, Stephen. Yeah, a bit? Alright, Michael. It's a step at a time. That's why I do these. Yeah. This is what I want you to remember. Please, come to the Tuesday meeting, okay? It's nice to come to the Tuesday meeting. You see all these people. They're doing the same thing you're doing, you know, step by step. They started where you started. Some of them, you know, before and after, you know, a different position, you know, tougher maybe spots than you're in right now. This is all achievable. Okay, this is all achievable. You just got to keep pushing forward, step by step, week by week. Okay. Okay. So give me 1 second. So I'm glad that you all made it from Toronto, and the rest of you made it on the week on today's call. I expect hopefully that you all be able on the next call. Okay. I'll post this on the next couple days. Got to do some edits to it. But otherwise, it'll be up in the next couple of days. Everybody does everybody have the YouTube link, right? Everybody has it. To subscribe when you go to the YouTube, just to ensure that you get notified when new ones come. Okay. Hold on 1 second here. Okay. Yep. So Steven, you're gonna send me some stuff. Good. Let me see. People. My pleasure. Okay, we'll send you. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, can you show us ATV? Okay, what's that one, Consuelo? Can you explain what you mean by that? Oh, the site is, thanks, Anne Marie. The app is ziplex.ca. I would grab it even if you're not from Montreal. You should always be looking across, you know, opportunities across the country. So I'd grab that. I would grab that link, everybody. Ziplex.ca. Okay. Any more questions before we wrap up? And Consuelo, I'm just looking at that message you sent me. Can you explain that a little bit? A property for sale, 1.2 million vendor take back. Okay, can you send me the email for that information? Can you send it to me? Consuelo? Do you have numbers on it? Vendor take back. Okay, good. Just send it to me. I'll look it over. Okay. What about the rent tone? I think so. Sierra, I emailed you back what I thought we could do with it, and what I want you to do, Sierra, is I want you to reach out to Tim, obviously, and myself. That's no problem. But Tim, because Tim taught you the class and stuff, and he would be a great resource and support for you. So, Sierra, we can review it together. Maybe set up a contact tomorrow, okay? Why don't we do that, okay? So text me tomorrow, okay, sometime tomorrow, okay? And we'll set something up. Good stuff. Is Wilbur with you? Okay, I'm meeting with the mentor tomorrow. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Okay. Okay, Anne-Marie, you okay with that email showing in the recording? No? Okay. So we might have to wipe out the text now. The text box. Or maybe just the ending. Okay. Alright. Any other questions before we wrap up? We good? If you're good, type in yes. Good. Lots of yeses. Lots of yeses. There should be lots. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. You know how to reach me if you need me. New group, please. From Toronto. Reach out if you need any more help or anything. Big thing for you is to keep running some properties. Run 5 this week would be great. And then we'll just review them next week. Obviously, if you have existing properties, send those to me first. I want everybody to have a great rest of the week. I want to thank you for coming, and I hope I see you all next week, next Tuesday, okay? And then we'll go back to our contracts, okay? All right.